There will be a history lesson today. We have Loretta Ford of the Museum of Black Inventors today on The Bernie Hayes Show. And welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes, and my guest is Loretta Ford. Miss Ford, how are you?
I'm great, Bernie. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you for the invite. Thank you.
You know, I'm reading here, it says Loretta Ford had no idea visiting a book fair at St. Louis University would change the life of so many. She picked up a book called Black Inventors of America by Burt McKinley Jr., and as the saying goes, the rest is history. Well, tell us about that history, Ms. Ford.
Yes, that's indeed true. I remember around 1995, I attended that book fair at St. Louis University, and it was so overwhelming to read about all the wonderful Black inventors, of which I've never heard of and was never taught in school. So after that, I was excited, and I showed the book to everybody that was in sight and asked them, you know, have you ever heard of this? And to my surprise, most people were unaware of the contributions by African-American inventors.
So what did you do from then on?
From there, I got this passion and this fire in me, and I decided that I was going to teach the world about African-American contributions, Black innovators. Mm-hmm. And I started collecting replicas of Black inventions at antique stores and flea markets, and started asking family and friends to check with their grandparents and great-grandparents. And I had a list of the Black inventors from the book, and just wanted to collect as many as I possibly could, and devised a plan to open the museum.
Could you tell me perhaps something that amazed you that you had no idea about?
Just the things that we use in everyday lives. For example, the ice cream scoop. And then, of course, as an African-American woman, that the pressing comb, you would think, of course, that's invented by a Black person, but just to give credit to somebody for some of those things, the baby carriage. You know, back in the 1800s and during slavery, a lot of our ancestors were taking care of the babies of the slave owners, so they had to make their jobs easier. So, of course, a lot of the inventions came out of necessity. And the baby carriage was another one I just was simply unaware of. The ice box, the traffic light, just so many of them that surprised me.
Sure. So many. I've read the book, and it is unbelievable. And some of the displays that you have are truly, truly amazing. Now, what's that in back of you? You're sitting in a museum, it seems.
That's actually the traveling exhibit. We call it Knowledge on Wheels. Mm-hmm. And that exhibit is on site at, I believe it's Christian Hospital Northeast that hosted the exhibit that year. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we travel all around the country, Bernie. We've traveled to so many different states and cities with the museum since 1998, when we outgrew our permanent space here in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. And that's just one of the displays, designs that we set up on site, depending on the space and the event.
They're called the Knowledge on Wheels you're referring to?
Right, Knowledge on Wheels traveling exhibit, the Black Inventions. And it's always under the Museum of Black Inventors, but, you know, we just name our exhibit Knowledge on Wheels.
And you're not limited to February, the Black History Month, right? You're doing it year-round.
Absolutely. We've been traveling year-round, like I said, since 1998. And that surprised a lot of people because a lot of our travel has been out of the St. Louis area.
Mm-hmm. And those wonderful placards in back of you and those stands and so forth, that's part of your display that you take to different various places that invite you?
Yes. Mm-hmm. As you can see, it's a pretty big size exhibit. It's two-sided, it's freestanding, and just depending on the space or the event that we're going to host the exhibit at, we can set it up, you know, so that it's convenient for people to enter in and exit. Especially during the pandemic, we have to make sure that it's set up that way.
Now, how has that affected you, the pandemic?
Like most people in most businesses, we're a nonprofit organization, and it has really impacted our revenue. 2020 was supposed to be our big year, and we had plans to acquire another brick and mortar and move into that space because we host so many events throughout the year for the youth in the community. So we have summer camp every year, which is Camp Inventions, and other events that would be really great to host in our own facility again. But right now, we collaborate with churches and other organizations to utilize their space when we do our programs and events in the community. But 2020 was our year to regain that brick and mortar. And of course, the pandemic put a damper on that. And as a result, we're kind of starting again since we're traveling, just starting to travel again here in 2022.
Are you looking for another brick and mortar to open?
We will be. We will be. We are working diligently to travel to as many places as we can for 2022. And then we'll just go back. The board and I will assess and see where we are financially, depending on contributions, grants, and so forth. We would definitely want to do that. And we like to do that here in St. Louis because this is where we started.
Well, how can we help? How can our viewers help you?
Our viewers can make donations to the Museum of Black Inventors. They can donate online. We have a button to donate online. They can mail in donations. We take donations any time of any size. And now with all of our technology, it can be done electronically. So we're really excited about that opportunity as well. So they can visit blackinventors.org and or call us if they have questions.
What number?
It's 314-313-9071.
And the website is what?
The website is Black Inventors, www.blackinventors.org.
Okay, and you're 501c3, so this is tax deductible.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I understand that you'll also be having a display at Harris-Stowe State University's Impact Center with Dr. Phillips.
Yes, we will.
That's on the 18th of February, I understand.
Yes, we will. And we will have our exhibit displayed there starting the 18th through the end of February, which is going to be open to the public, free of charge. And it's going to be a wonderful event in collaboration with their event.
Ms. Ford, how soon should one contact you in advance if they want a display?
Well, of course, for the month of February, that's our busiest time of the year. So we have everybody that calls us at the last minute. But if you call us within 30 days of your event, more than likely we can accommodate you. If you call us, say, 2 weeks before, and we do not have the exhibit already booked, then we could still accommodate you as well. It's just that we need notice because as you can see from looking at the display, it takes a lot of manpower to travel with it and to, dismantle it and to assemble it and so forth and set it up.
Sure.
So as much advance notice as possible.
Our engineer, Bob Demler, will have these photographs. This is called Knowledge on Wheels. Tell us about that.
Okay, that's part of our exhibit where you can see this here, the one that's behind me as well. That's also the same exhibition event that we attended. That's just the opposite side, which is good that you have that, Bernie, because people can get an idea of the exhibit being two-sided. And that picture that you have here shows the other side of the exhibit.
Yeah, this one is very similar to the one that you in your background.
Yes, it is.
Right there.
Yes, it is.
So this was at Christian Hospital, you said?
That was at Christian Hospital Northeast. It was called their atrium. They have an atrium, and they have lots of events there throughout the year.
Wow.
And they hosted us there.
Well, what's the reaction mostly when people visit the exhibits? What do they say to you?
It's usually surprise. People
Really?
come to us and say all the time, I didn't know, I had no idea. And of course, as an African American, you're very, very proud because these are things that your ancestors have created and you didn't know this history. But it's a lot of people that are, non-African Americans that enjoy the exhibition as well. And they always tell us that they are so surprised and that they're glad that the museum exists because they had no idea of a lot of the contributions as well by African Americans that helped to build the country.
Much more information from Loretta Ford from the Museum of Black Inventors after we return. We'll be right back.
Will you help New Life Evangelistic Center get back into 1411 Locust Street? Your tax-deductible gifts are urgently needed at this particular time, and there's many different ways that we're working to get back in that facility. One of the ways is to continue to inform the community through the Bernie Hayes Show and other programs. And if you haven't supported the Bernie Hayes Show and the Work of New Life Evangelistic Center, please do it now. It's urgently needed. Your gifts are deeply appreciated. So many homeless people are waiting to get back into 1411 Locust, and so many others need the direct help that New Life is trying to provide at this time, but it's facing some real financial needs, and that's why your gift is very, very important. And to express our thankfulness for all of you that are sharing your gifts, we want to send you this special Bernie Hayes cup. It's my wife's favorite drinking cup. She loves to drink out of this cup, and this is actually the only coffee cup she wants to use is the Bernie Hayes cup. There's something very special about this cup, and we'll send it to each one of you that share a gift of $25 or more with the New Life Evangelistic Center and ask for your Bernie Hayes cup. It's P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, that's 63166. Your gift will not only help us get back into the 1411 Locust building, but will help our first responders that are on the streets, the first responders that we have out there day after day, night after night. It will help keep our women and children in our safe houses, continue to keep our training programs open, our worldwide mission work, whether it's in India, Haiti, Africa, so many different things the New Life Evangelistic Center is doing. In addition to NLEC TV, tell your family and friends about it. Put it on your phone. Put on your, get that phone app on all your friends' phones so that they can all see the Bernie Hayes Show or go to 24.2. It's your prayers and gifts that make all of this possible. I thank God for those of you who continue to pray for the reopening of 1411 Locust and the work of New Life Evangelistic Center. There's so many obstacles we're facing as we try to help the homeless, but we're going to continue to give it to God. We're going to continue to pray. We're going to continue to work, but we need you to partner with us. So again, it's New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, that's 63166. I thank God for each one of you that are praying, caring, and sharing.
Hear this, you who trample the needy and do away with the poor of the land. Let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. You trample on the poor and force him to give you grain. Therefore, though you have built stone mansions, you will not live in them. Though you have planted lush vineyards, you will not drink their wine. For I know how many are your offenses and how great your sins. You oppress the righteous and take bribes, and you deprive the poor of justice in the courts.
And welcome back. I'm Bernie Hayes. My guest is Loretta Ford from the Museum of Black Inventors. Ms. Ford, it says donate. It says there are different levels of donations that can be held for you that are all tax deductible. Tell us about that.
Yeah,
which levels?
That's our level of contributions. Normally our corporations that donate to us can donate on those, but also individuals. And those tiers, they start at $15,000, and that's our lowest tier. And the companies that normally select that tier are the ones, for example, that bring us on site. The major corporations, they've had us on site, and if we're there more than one day or 2 or 3 days, then those are the corporations that usually sponsor us at that level. But they're welcome to sponsor us at the higher levels. There's 3 different levels, and it starts at the $15,000 level. And that works out pretty well for the museum as far as being able to continue to travel, cover our expenses. As you can see, it's a pretty big cost to collect the replicas and create the exhibit the way that it's seen there.
Yeah. Bob Dimmler, producer, also mentioned that about the Griot Museum, Lois Commons.
Yes.
You visited with Lois?
I've visited the museum in the past. I haven't been there in a while, but I have visited in the past, and I understand there's a few inventors on display there as well.
Right. She was, I guess, recently.
Oh, good.
But we also did some remotes from there. We actually went to the museum and did 2 shows.
Wonderful.
With Lois there.
Wonderful.
Now, what drives your passion here? Why are you doing this?
Well, Bernie, my background is healthcare administration. I've been in that field for 30 plus years, and I help build companies for doctors and other medical organizations from the ground up, and saw them sell them for just large sums of money, multi-millions of dollars. And I feel that I have an entrepreneur spirit, but my passion has always been to give back to the community in some way. So I started the museum in 1996, in addition to working full-time at the same time. And the board, our board of directors were very, very hands-on then because they knew I worked full-time. But my passion has always been to, one, give back to the youth. We have so many youth and not enough activities for them during the summer, which is why we host the Camp Inventions. It's called Camp Inventions. And it's a quality camp that's facilitated by educators, teachers that are working year-round and want to also work during the summer. They facilitate the camp. And that's also hosted and sponsored by the grants on that donation tier that you saw.
Sure.
So that helps support the camp. And then there's the entrepreneur empowerment zone that we are creating for youth that want to start their own businesses, to teach them starting in middle school and high school how to organize and start their own business. And it starts from an invention or a creation if they want to do a product. So that was something that we also would like to see once we're back into our brick and mortar or collaborate with another organization. But that passion comes there because when we host our biggest fundraiser every year, which is our annual youth ball, we get our participants, the girls and boys from age 6 to 17. And I tell you, Bernie, when you see these young ladies and men, they come back after they've graduated high school and college, and they want to volunteer at the camp, or they come back and say to us, you know, because I participated in this event, I can get on stage now, and I'm not afraid to do my reports in class. My teacher said that I speak very well doing my presentations, or just to see that they go on to be successful creative adults. That's what drives me, that passion, to see that we are making a difference and impacting lives, even if it's just one at a time.
When you have these exhibits, is there an amount of space that is required for you to bring, to take somewhere?
Yes, it is. A lot of people in the past, Bernie, that's a good question. They've asked us to, can you just bring part of the exhibit? That's not something that we do, because in order for us to really, really show and give you an idea of what we have, we bring the entire display out. We don't break it down because it's not packed up and it's not stored in that manner. I will say that we have shipped some of our exhibit off to different states before for special events, but those were for special occasions and special events that the museum was collaborating with other organizations in that state. But we like to have at least a pretty decent sized room. If you can imagine being at a trade show or an expo where they have those 12 by 12 booths, we have to have about 10 of those in order to set up our exhibit.
Wow, that's quite a bit of space.
Yes, it is.
If you go to a school,
Yes.
are the teachers in all of the exhibit as much as the students?
Absolutely, absolutely. We usually set it up in the school gymnasium, and we've had schools, Bernie, book the exhibit, and the teachers were so impressed. It's usually a science teacher or one of a teacher in the school that usually call us, that has heard about us and want to bring us. But we've even had a school in the past that invited other schools in the district to come. And they took buses and came to see the exhibit at their school. So yeah, the teachers are usually pretty excited, pretty surprised, and we have a whiz quiz that we give to the teachers in the schools, and they have the kids come and watch the exhibit. And then when they get back to the classroom, they have to fill out the whiz quiz while they're there, and then they get to share it and express themselves in the classroom.
Most people know about Garrett Morgan, you know, the gas mask and the electric signals on the corner. But that's only in Black History Month. Only in February do they feature these people, but you feature them every day of the year.
Every day. We travel to the schools throughout the year. We've had schools to contact us in May. And you know, school's usually out in June. And they contact us even in May. We've had schools contact us in October We go to colleges and universities. They are always, it's just year round. There's events going on. At the mayor's convention, NAACP convention. We've been to so many different community events and corporate and government events as well throughout the years.
Is Dr. Charles Drew a part of the exhibit?
Yes, he is. Now, it's funny you asked about Dr. Drew, because Dr. Drew and also George Washington Carver were two of the innovators that I learned about in school. So they were added to the museum after a lot of the others. And some of the people would come in and say, I didn't know about a lot of these. I only knew about George Washington Carver, and I only knew about Dr. Charles Drew. So we have to acknowledge them and highlight them as well. So they are definitely both on display.
How can we reach you again?
314-313-9071 or www.blackinventors.org.
This is wonderful. This is so much history and so much knowledge that the Black inventors have, and we're going to certainly make it our quest to be there and hope that everyone watching will be there too. And we'll be right back after this with Loretta Ford.
So many people are being left on the streets homeless all day long without anywhere to go because downtown St. Louis continues to fight efforts to reopen 1411 Locust. Yes, the downtown neighborhood organization that has continued to fight the New Life Evangelistic Center for the reopening of 1411 Locust and lobbied the Slay administration, the Cruzan administration to keep it closed and close it down must be strongly resisted at this particular time. We have a new mayor. I believe she cares about the homeless. Tashara Jones needs our support. If you'll join me in prayer over this, if you'll join me in resisting these special interest groups, if you want to believe the time for action is now, please contact me. I'm Larry Rice at P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, at 63166. You can call me at 314-421-3020. I thank God for faithful viewers of Bernie Hayes, and now the time for action has come.
Benjamin Banneker, author, scientist, mathematician, farmer, astronomer, publisher, and urban planner, who was descended from enslaved Africans, an endured servant, and free men and women of color. Young Benjamin grew up in Baltimore County, one of 200 free blacks among the population of 4,000 slaves and 13,000 whites. At the age of 22, having seen only 2 timepieces in his lifetime, a sundial and a pocket watch, Banneker constructed a striking clock almost entirely out of wood. Based on his own drawings and calculations, the clock continued to run until it was destroyed by fire 40 years later. He died in 1806. On the day of his burial, the house and its contents, including his clock, caught fire and burned to the ground. Benjamin Banneker.
Now you can take NLEC TV anywhere as you put the NLEC TV app on your iPhone or mobile device. NLEC TV is the innovative TV station that's on the cutting edge of community service. When you tune in to NLEC TV, you'll discover a television station that has been operated by previously homeless individuals who've received broadcast training through New Life Evangelistic Center's unique on-the-job training program. On NLEC TV, you'll discover wholesome family, community, renewable energy, and inspirational programming. For further information, call 314-436-2424 or go to nlecstl.org. That's nlecstl.org.
And welcome back, Mr. Loretta Ford of the Black Inventors. And like Ms. Ford, Black Inventors of tomorrow, these young kids, these young children, tell us about them and this photograph.
That photograph was taken, actually, those are people that one of our VA, our virtual assistant, who works on a lot of our photographs and so forth. That was a picture of some students that were in a science class and were doing a science competition at one of the elementary schools and wanted to show us that we wanted to highlight that these are the lives that we're impacting, the youth. These are the young people that are going to be our 21st century inventors and innovators that are going to create things that will be on display, long after I'm gone when the museum continues.
Do you get many inquiries from students?
I'm sorry, Bernie?
Do you get many inquiries from students how to become inventors?
We do, and I'm going to tell you a funny story. At one of the schools early on, we have a replica. A lot of our inventions, as you can see, are replicas. But there was the lawnmower we had brought on was, remember the push lawnmower, the real old heavy ones that you push? And they have the blades, the blades that turn.
Sure.
Well, one of the kids asked us at the school, said, ma'am, can you tell us, we're standing here trying to figure out how you turn it on. Where's the knob to turn it on? And we thought that was so interesting because they had no clue that, we had to explain to them that this is your muscle. You had to use your muscle to do this. So kids are always very, very inquisitive. They're always asking us questions.
Sure. I understand that was an event you want to tell us about also recently.
Recently, the St. Louis Science Center, the museum hosted an event there, and it ran for MLK Day this year. So that was our kickoff, and it's a possibility they can see us again at the Science Center for several weeks.
Okay. So once again, we need to know how to donate and help you, and how to reach you, and how to get these displays and exhibits to our facilities.
Absolutely, absolutely. Call us at 314-313-9071 or www.blackinventors.org, or you can contact me personally at Loretta@blackinventors.org should you have questions.
Have you ever invented anything or wanted to invent anything, or were you inspired by some of the displays that you had?
Well, Bernie, when you ask somebody who has an entrepreneur spirit, I'm always thinking about inventor. The closest I've gotten is being a writer, much like yourself. And I have manuscripts and so forth that are in the process of being published. So yes, that's about as far as I've gotten as far as having that creativity.
So when you showed Dr. Drew, Dr. George Washington Carver, Garrett, is there information about them on the display?
Absolutely. As you and I discussed earlier, we have Black inventions dating from the 1800s to the present day. And the majority of our inventors that are, of course, in the 1800s, there's not as much documentation about their families and the history and what drove them to be creative and to invent. But the 21st century inventors, we try to include as much documentation as possible. And the board behind me, you see pictures and replicas, but behind the board is the inventions with the actual documentation and the history of that inventor. For example, to Garrett Morgan and George Washington Carver, we will talk and speak to their lives and growing up and so forth.
The people, are they in awe when they found out, or surprised when they found out that the blood bank was developed by an African American, that open heart surgery was first done by an African American, and all these other wonderful things that people just take for granted now?
Absolutely, absolutely. You'd be amazed at how surprised so many people are. As recently, Bernie, as the people, the company that we utilize to do our printing of our boards and so forth, we recently had another order placed because I wanted to add recently an additional 40 inventors to the exhibit. And the gentleman that did the boards, say 5 years ago, he said, "This is such a history for me." Wow. He says, "I'm learning so much." And I go back home and I tell my wife, "Did you know? I can't believe this." So yes, absolutely.
We're out of time. And also about the refrigerated truck and so forth. So much we want to talk about. Ms. Ford, I just can't tell you how thrilled we are and thankful enough that you would come by and show this and let people know about this wonderful exhibit that you have.
Thank you
so much, and have a great day.
Thank you for having us.
And each and one of every you, thank you for viewing and supporting the New Life Evangelistic Center. And we please stay safe. And if you're not vaccinated, please get your shots. I'm Bernie Hayes. Have a great day.